This is War Cry. We're on the wall crying out for our children, our communities, our schools, our churches, our families. This is War Cry. Welcome to our reality. Gun violence. Chicago, Philly, Detroit, New York, Atlanta, just to name a few. Our black children are dying day by day. This is War Cry. Police brutality. Hands up! Don't move. I can't breathe. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. Hashtag All Lives Matter to Christ. This is War Cry. Drugs, rape, mass shooting, school violence. This is War Cry. Galvanizing people to pray for our children and to take action. Let's march on Washington. We want prayer back in school. This is War Cry. Candles, memorials in every corner in our neighborhood. Who died this weekend? Oh no, not Miss Martha's grandson. This is War Cry. He was only 16. His brother died last year. He was only 13. This is War Cry. We the people. We're the elected officials. This is War Cry. We need the church. Where's the church? Only on Sundays. Get to the streets, church. We need you out there. This is War Cry. Girl, be gone. Boy, be gone. Mothers crying. Fathers being locked up. Welcome to our reality. Identity crisis. This is War Cry. Oh, they're trying to remove our history off the textbook. Oh, critical race theory? It makes them feel bad. It's our reality. Fake reality shows. We want the real truth. Stay woke. This is War Cry. HBCUs under attack. This is War Cry. Equal pay for what we do. We want a reparation. This is War Cry. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Wait a minute. Is that somebody else they're burying that looks like us? Only 12. This is War Cry. Oh, let us come together and pray for our young people, pray for our communities, pray for our schools, pray for our churches, pray that the government gives us what we need, a fair opportunity. This is War Cry, home of the brave, land of the free. Who's free? Our men are locked up. This is War Cry. Hashtag mothers against gang violence. Hashtag fathers who love their sons. Hashtag what would Jesus do? This is War Cry.
I know who goes before me. I know who stays behind. The God of Israel's army is always by my side.
War Cry for our children. War Cry as we look over the past weekend, this 4th of July weekend, we see that so many of our children died. Violence, gun violence. It appears we can't even gather together without there being some type of conflict, especially among our black men and boys. Somebody's got to step in. There is so much rage in our families, and we seem to let that rage explode when we come into a gathering. So someone's got to be an advocate. So this is War Cry, and welcome. I want to welcome all our listeners, all our viewers. As you know, we have another dynamic show, and we come on humping and stomping because guess what? We are mad about what's going on. I'm mad about how many parents are going to have to bury their kids over this holiday weekend that we celebrated, July the 4th. That was not even a holiday. But we still celebrated. We didn't get any independence there. And we celebrated and lives was lost. Mothers, fathers, grandparents, and those that are injured in the hospital. So this is War Cry for them. And I want to tell you, we send out our condolences because it's a horrible thing to bury a child. It's a horrible thing to lose an uncle and gun violence prematurely. And I'm calling out the church. Where are you, church? Because guess what? You want to stay in the inside and pray on Zoom and on the telephone. We need you to come in the streets. I know during this pandemic we dealt with, we all got the telephone lines and we all got on Zoom. But guess what? Zoom and telephone lines, prayer lines, it's time out for that. Do it when you come back in. It's time for us to go to the streets and let the streets know that the people of God are strong and we're not going to take it. We're going to let our children know we're praying for them. They can't hear us on Zoom. They can't hear us on the telephone line. I asked you guys, hit my email up, warcry.children@gmail.com, and then send me the list of names that you want me to pray for, that I'm going to put on my wall to pray for. Also, request a t-shirt. Give me the size, and you can have a shirt that says, I am praying for our children. Or hit me up on our website, War Cry for Our Children. And give me your size. Give me a list of children, not just yours, but community children we should be praying for. And I will send you a t-shirt. All I'm asking is for you to go out and walk around with it. If you're too scared to pray, then just walk around, because it says, I'm praying for our children. And guess what? Everybody will know who you are, that you're a part of this battle that we are in. We got to jump into the battle. I'm telling you, the battle is all around us, and we got to jump into the battle. Our communities, our schools, our churches. It's summer. It's going to be a hot summer. How many kids do you think is going to actually make? You don't even have to be in a game. You could be walking down the street, just like in Jamaica, Queens. This one man shot one person in Brooklyn and 4 people in Queens. Period. One person, 25 years old, with rage. They don't even know why. On a scooter. So you could just be minding your own business. So I'm telling you now, you better come in the fight. God needs all the strong warriors he can get. This is War Cry. And this is what we're passionate about, is our children, and getting us to a place that we can take it to the streets, just like we did in the early 60s. We're not afraid to show people who we are. We're the people of God. We are a strong, resilient people. No more hiding. Don't play safe. You want to be safe. Yeah, you can be safe on the phone. You can be safe on Zoom. But guess what? We're supposed to be saved, filled with God's glory, and out on the street exemplifying and demonstrate the power of Christ. And I don't want no scared people with me anyway. So if you're scared, I guess you should stay in the house. But this is War Cry, and we need you to help us. Our War Cry phone number is 347-426-5302. If you want a t-shirt, if you want us to pray, text and leave a message. 347-426-5302. We got all different ways that you can get in contact with, but we need to galvanize ourselves to take charge. This is War Cry. This is War Cry. And there are wars all around us. So all of us collectively could work together and make a difference. This is War Cry. Well, we're back here with another exciting show, and we're talking about affirmative action, which is going to affect our young people again. Supreme Court justices voted it down in the colleges. So you can bring my hosts. Is my hosts here? Are they available, engineer, to bring up? Dr. Gregory Johnson, are you with us? He's probably trying to come into the show, and Bishop Butler is probably trying to come into the show. But we want to talk about affirmative action, and we want to ask some questions. But we want to ask, why is it such a problem that we can't have procedures and laws in place that guard against prejudices and injustice? Why? Why is that such a big problem? Why is white America so scared that they think that every law that equally balances the books for us, that they have to take away? The critical race theory, they don't want that no more. Now, affirmative action for colleges, they don't want that no more. Now, just think about it. Eventually, it's going to affect businesses. That people are going to be able to discriminate you based on business. Because once you get it out of the colleges, then guess what? It's going to be out of the businesses as well. Ooh, and we are here to talk about that. Engineers that are my hosts, have they came on the line yet? Okay. while they're still making it on the line. I want to tell you something. In 1961, a black lawyer named Herbert Taylor, who was working for John F. Kennedy on the Equal Opportunity document. Remember equal rights? Did we forget that? Are we like Clarence Thomas? Did we forget EEO? He started off in EEO, but somehow the brother with his lifetime appointment on the Supreme Court, it appears that he forgot that the people shoulders he stood on to get there. He forgot that. He's just thinking about he made it there on his own merits. And guess what? I am not taking anything away from the smartness of who he was. I am not taking anything away from that. But brother, let me give you a reality check. You started working in EEO. You remember Anita Hill? Oh, engineer, let's go to the first video.
Keep affirmative action. How do you think we're going to get reparations unless we vote and put people on there that understands why we need reparations? Affirmative action is an elementary step toward reparations.
Reverend Al, what are the issues in this moment that Black America should be focused in on?
We must be focused in on voting. When we look at what happened with the Supreme Court, all of the blacks that said there was nothing to vote for put those 3 members of the court that killed affirmative action and that stopped student loan debt, you put them on the court because you helped elect Donald Trump, who put them on the court. All of us that are talking about we want reparations, if we couldn't keep affirmative action, how do you think we're going to get reparations unless we vote and put people on there that understands why we need reparations? Affirmative action is an elementary step toward reparations. So we need to stop playing with our people's emotions and deal with real hard work. We need to protect the vote. We need to go out there in the name of what they just did to affirmative action and student debt forgiveness and really put people in power that are accountable to us. Lastly, the dangerous vote was this vote about LGBTQ where they said that you can now choose who you're going to do business with. They were not even plaintiffs. The plaintiff they named said, I never asked to do something with these people. So if they're using non-injured plaintiffs, that means anybody can jump up and say, I don't want blacks in my store. I don't want blacks I don't want to have to do contracts with blacks. What they did with affirmative action and that can put black businesses out of business because they can say it's unconstitutional, just like now the court has ruled in schools. That means we don't have to deal with black or diversity and corporate spending and all of that. We've got to fight back. We've got to understand they've declared war.
In August, you're going to have the commemoration of the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington. Reverend Al, in this moment, there's a serious rollback. I mean, just before the March on Washington, you know, we were fighting, and then in 64, 65, Civil Rights Act, Voting Rights Act. Now we are losing freedoms. What is this moment?
The moment is a challenge. Are we going to stand up and do something in this moment? In 63, in June of 63, Medgar Evers was killed. In August, 250,000 people showed up in Washington that led to the 64 Civil Rights Act, 65 Voting Rights Act. In June of this year, 60 years later, affirmative action was killed. Are we going to show up and are we going to tell them that we are the children of those that backed you out of Jim Crow and we're not going to let you bring us back?
Wow, wow, wow. Did everyone hear what Dr. Al Sharpton said? We've got to fight. Affirmative action now has been dismantled in our school systems. Now, I want to say something to you. A lot of times we think affirmative action just helped and assist us, Black people. But I want to be clear with this. It helped white women. Matter of fact, it helped white women perhaps more than it helped us. Now, I would move out to say that 40% of all of the applicants that was accepted in these schools that fought against affirmative action, like Harvard, I'm calling you out, the candidates that was let into the school, which was us, the black candidates that was let into the schools, were qualified to go there in the first place. Our race didn't get us in. We had the grades that got us in. We were the best students. We could have competed against any white student for a selection or for a slot in your universities. You didn't give us 20 points because we was black and then we went in with a 2.0 average. No, that's not how it worked. We were already qualified. You know how I know? Because when we went into those, colleges, such as Harvard, we didn't flunk out. See, the people want to make it seem like that affirmative action really gave us the edge, but it really didn't give us the edge because we were qualified to be there in the first place. It just allowed these admission offices not to discriminate against us or push our applications to the side because of the legacy children. Now, what is the legacy? Legacy is if your mama went to a school or if your daddy went to the school. It's just like with sororities. If your mama pledged or fraternity, your daddy pledged, you have an up to get in. But these universities are still going to be able to do legacies for their white constituents that have graduated from there. So they still going to have an up. It didn't take away from the legacy. It took away from us. It gave us, it put us equal. That if a legacy applicant, if they have 100 slots and it's 99 they fill and 2 applications come up, which is a legacy. Their mom went there before, their dad went there before. And then we have a black student or an Asian student that has superseded double degrees, a student, Sals, that guess what? They could smack them down. And the legacy, who could have a 2.0 average, will be able to get into the school. That's the up they have. That seems unfair to me. We all have stood as Black African Americans. We stood on the backbones, on the shoulders of someone else. So if fair is going to be fair, let's call it fair. Yale discrimination suit was about Asians and whites brought a discrimination suit to the Supreme Court because they felt that they were being discriminated against. But let me tell you, we don't have a lot of black people going to Yale, so how could you feel that? I want you to look at the percentages of us that's being represented in these large universities. And when we get there, we have to prove ourselves. And I thank God for our black young sisters and brothers because they are proving themselves. We're not getting there and they're giving us 50 points because we're black and then we're failing out. We're getting there and we're hitting the mark and we're hitting the target, just like we should be doing. So when we look at this affirmative action thing, we got to look at it straight across the board. White women don't want to say that they was given because they're considered a minority too. When we look at minorities, we have to look at the diversity of the skin, the ethnicity that we are, the sex that we are. So it's a lot of different factors that come in there. Being white is one factor, but being a woman puts them in a minority. Being black gives me one edge, but also being a woman gives me 2 edges. So we got to look at what affirmative action is and how it works. And now, since it has affected the colleges, and let me say something, our Black historical colleges are just as good. And if we look at Yale and Harvard, do you know that it was the slaves that actually built these universities? And really, we should be getting some type of reformation just by going there. But we don't get no special anything. Why don't you begin to look at who really built those universities that our people were not even allowed to attend? Now, getting back to the Black historical colleges, which are great and greater. So we're not saying that the Black historical colleges they're going to increase anyway. The attendance has been increasing everywhere. Delaware, Morgan, Howard, Southern University. They are Fisk, Spelman, Tennessee State, Alabama State, Alabama A&M. They are increasing with the enrollment, because it's one thing that we're learning now, that we're going to take advantage of our educational systems, period. But we should be able to go anywhere we want to go if we can get in there. It's very hard to get into those Ivy League schools, because guess what? The tuition is horrendous. They will price us out. And once we get there, our kids are graduating with these abnormal amounts of student loans that's keeping them from even moving forward. 200,000 and 300,000, 400,000 and 500,000. And when the Congress, Supreme Court had a chance to help our young people by easing the debt bill of college tuition, guess what? They voted against it. Unfortunately, we don't have moms and dads that sit at CEO tables that can wipe our debt away. We paying our own debt. And for those parents that are helping, such as me, I want to salute you, because we do want our kids to have an education, but we don't want them to be tied down with debt. They can never buy a house. They can never buy a car. Some of that debt, I mean, I couldn't believe it. 20 years, 25 years to pay off. Come on. For a country that turned their back on us, for a country that said that we was nothing, for a country that said that we could not read and write, for a country that has never paid any type of restitution, for a country. Wow. For a country that really, as much cotton as we pick, we should get all our clothes free. For a country that our blood built the White House, but it's not even a black room in there. I thank God that Obama went in there with his wife and their family. So at least we got some culture besides the help in there. And I thank God for those people with jobs. But for a country that the chambers was with, that on January the 6th, 2 years ago, that was made a mockery with people roaring in there and shooting and killing, for a country. And we get no credit for that. And now affirmative action, they don't want to deal with gun violence. They don't want to deal with banning the AR-15s. Now, affirmative action. And let me tell you, that's just the beginning, because it will affect the businesses as well. Affirmative action was not put in place to give us an edge. It was put in place so that equal rights could be asserted among all minorities, period. They still had a quota. And I don't care what the human resources or admissions said. They still had only 10% of Black is going to come in, only 10% of Asians going to come in, only 10%, because they are still the majority that ruled. Yes, this is war cry. And we're upset about what's going on with our children with this affirmative action. You know, we didn't put these people in place. Dr. Sharpton said it. These general Supreme Court was put in place by various presidents. And we know who put the last two conservatives in. Now, they may not need affirmative action. They may have had everything they wanted. But Clarence Thomas, you rolled on the shoulders of somebody with the EEO. That was your first job, or one of your first jobs. Remember Anita Hill? I know we want to forget the sister, but the sister is still smart and she's still alive. You forget where you came from. You are still Black. You can't take it back. Yes, we've came a long way, but when you was put in a place to help us, guess what you did? You hurt us. Yes, you said we don't need affirmative action. Well, you know as well as I do how much illegal stuff that's being done in this society. Hey, take a look at Florida, critical race theory. Why is it that white people are so afraid to learn our history? I can't understand that. We learned your history. I didn't want to learn about George Washington. I wanted to learn about George Washington Carver. But why is it that we had to learn your history, but you are so afraid of learning our history? Everything we do, you push us back. Every move, you wanted to defund the historical black colleges. Guess why? Because we are crowding them, we're attending them, we are flooding them. And the state of Tennessee, do you know that the governor asked, or a senator asked? You can Google it and find out. The president of Tennessee State, why is it that so many people want to come to you instead of wanting to come to the University of Tennessee? Minorities, that's what I'm talking about. Why is it so many of us wanting to go to Tennessee State instead of to the University of Tennessee? You figure it out. First of all, you want us off the streets. So now we're moving off the streets into the university. Now you're asking why. Oh, come on. You could do better than that. You could do better than that. You could do better than that, because we want to know. Why is it that every time we move ahead, you want to push us back? Why is it that it's not a big complaint about black on black crime, even from white people? You should be joining us with black on black crime. We're killing our own self-harm. And now you're trying to hurt us with affirmative action. What is it? What is it about us that you really don't like? And I know some of us you like, those that are silent, those that are in agreement, those that don't cry out for their people, those that don't want anything besides what you've given them. And they live in their whole cushy world and they think everything is just fine. Well, that's not my case. I'm going to cry out for my people. This is war cry. We're broadcasting all the way from New York. And you know, New Yorkers, we got an attitude. And we can shake our head. New Yorkers are very resilient about what they believe. They always pushing forward instead of pushing back. And yes, we got our problems, but I thank God that we do have a mayor. I salute Mayor Eric Adams. That's a brother we're pushing forward, not just for us, but for a better New York. I salute those that's in the battle for gun violence. I salute God Squad and the 67 precinct and all of the precincts that are helping us on the line, fighting against gun violence, taking the guns off the street, taking the drugs off the street. I salute our black kids that are going to college to learn and come back and help. We need more help. A lot of people make their money in the streets, but guess what? They take their money and leave the streets. I need y'all to come back. I know you're doing good acts sometimes, but I need you to come back. I need your money to come back. I need Jay-Z. I need Beyonce. I need Rihanna. I need Asa. I need y'all to come back. I need Carly B. I need them back. I need Nick. I need y'all to come and get in the streets and join with us to fight this battle. Because it's one thing that we have in common, and it's not green. It's the color of the skin. And guess what? It's here today, but it could move into the suburbs tomorrow. So we need to fight and help our young kids. Many of them are suffering from mental illnesses. We need to get mental illness counselors in school. And I applaud the chancellor in New York City. He's doing a great job, but we need more social workers. We need for you to volunteer. Everything can't be about money. Sometimes you got to do things free. You need to volunteer. Churches, I need you to call up your social workers that's been sitting there. I need you to call up your teachers that's been sitting there. You need to call up those retirees and form a coalition so that we can help our people. Churches, 3 and 4 on the block. I need you to put denominations down just for a day. You can pick them up on Sunday, but please put them down. Open up your doors. Get a t-shirt that says, I'm praying for our kids. Join hands. Let our young people know. Begin to celebrate them. Affirmative action is a bad thing for us, but we don't need it anyway, because guess what? Our kids are smart. Our kids are resilient. But guess what? Against a legacy, that's affirmative action, because white people still got the legacy. Engineer, let's go to the video.
Our students always come first, which means today, where free speech is paramount, a student gets the last word. Our final speaker is a member of the baccalaureate degree class. Jordan Pierre was nominated, then selected to speak on behalf of his classmates by a committee of students, faculty, and staff. Jordan is a broadcast digital journalism major from Brooklyn, New York, and following graduation, Jordan intends to go to graduate school right here at Newhouse, studying radio, television, and film. Please welcome Jordan Pierre.
Good afternoon, faculty, staff, students, and friends. My name is Jordan Pierre, and I'm currently a senior, majoring in broadcast and digital journalism with a minor in entrepreneurship and emerging enterprise. To be here today for me is much more than a ceremony. Today is much more significant because I come from a place where I've attended more funerals and court appearances than college graduations. To be here today is a barrier broken. I have my family in attendance today, and for many of them, this is the first time they have attended a college graduation. Earning the opportunity to walk across this stage required much more than just passing classes. For what makes this institution rigorous, at least for us Black and brown students, is not the curriculum, but what comes with being Black in the context of America while trying to uphold academic excellence. It's not the curriculum that makes this college experience rigorous, it's occupying academic buildings and being sent suspension letters for advocating for the creation of policies that will hold every student accountable for the racial slurs and vandalism of the dorms we Black students lived in. It's not the curriculum that makes these courses rigorous, it's bearing witness to your Black women friends having a focus on academia while learning they have been stripped of their agency to choose whether to give birth or not, despite having the highest mortality rate. It's not the curriculum that makes these courses rigorous, it's being a first-generation college student and not having the ability to call home to seek guidance on how to navigate the collegiate space, for you're the first to do so. It's not the curriculum that makes these courses rigorous, it's being a Black student in an educational system that justifies the omission of Black history through the use of the discomfort it causes our white counterparts when class discussions reveal the true history of theirs. It's not the curriculum that makes these courses rigorous, it's studying abroad in London while 10 elderly Black men and women are killed in Top supermarket just some miles away from here simply because they were Black. It's not the curriculum that makes these courses rigorous, it's having to work 3 jobs on campus to pay your rent and assist your parents in paying theirs. Some of us in this room understand firsthand that the scholarships and financial aid we earned were not just funding us as students, they were funding our household and a community. It's not the curriculum that makes these courses rigorous, it's looking at the news and seeing someone that looks like you with the same name Jordan being choked to death by a former Marine on a subway station and witnessing his mental health being used to justify his death. I say this all to emphasize the danger of a single narrative story, the danger of being left to formulate a preconceived notion of a community based on westernized media, and the danger of having a seat at the table to tell your own story. I often say that it's easy to dream, but it's hard to aspire to occupy a space that you have never seen someone that looks like you in. My presence here today will serve as proof to the next young Black man or woman that despite what comes with being a Black student at Syracuse University, it's possible to speak at the Newhouse graduation. There was a time when I did not know what a student marshal was until last year when I met a Black woman named Adudu, a student marshal at the College of Engineering and Computer Science. There was a time when I did not believe I was going to be the President of the United States, which is what I will one day become, until I seen Barack Obama become the president. My presence today will stand as a symbol of inspiration for the Black people who hear this speech will be able to see themselves in the position I am in and aspire to do the same. I challenge my fellow graduates who are not of color to be mindful and intentional with the stories that you share, normalize, and teach your children. For those stories are used to formulate a preconceived notion of who we are based on the narratives you teach and the environments you expose them to. I challenge my fellow brothers and sisters to also be intentional and thoughtful about the stereotypes we normalize and perpetuate amongst ourselves. James Baldwin once stated that if the world does it to you long enough and effectively enough, you begin to do it to yourself. You become an accomplice to your own murderers. We must ensure that we do not become that accomplice and use our platforms to empower one another. To Syracuse and to Newhouse, I challenge you all to take accountability for the trajectory the media has taken. It is not one we should be proud of. For if we take pride in being the #1 communication school, we must also take ownership of the leaders and content creators for the media we consume. especially as we produce those who are the head of the newsroom. So we are only a microcosm of what the world will become. I challenge us all here today to denounce the stereotypes we have of one another, for the problem with stereotypes is not that they are untrue, but incomplete. As the legendary Nipsey Hussle once stated, the marathon continues.
Wow. Wow. What an outstanding speech. I want everybody to really just go and hear this young man. I'm going to meet this young man. He said so many things. He spoke about what he went through in the university, racial slurs, vandalism. Do you know how it feels for our young people to have racial slurs slung at them all the time, go into their rooms, go into the building with vandalism, with all these words? And these are with the students that they're going to school with, being called that N-word that we ourselves have been dealing with all our lives. And not just us, our grandparents, not just our grandparents, our great-grandparents, not just our great-grandparents, but our great-great-grandparents all over the world. Because I don't care where you are at. If we all line up and you have this skin color and you don't open your mouth, you just stand in a line, guess what? A white person will call you that. Don't think because you're from a different place that name is not you. Don't ever think that it's just American blacks that's called that. That is so untrue because we all look alike. Somebody in Jamaica look like me. Somebody in Africa look like me. Somebody. Because we were all connected together. So what affects one of us affects all of us, the home of the brave and the land of the free. Freedom? Well, you know how I feel about that. You know how I feel about that. And you know then he talked about being a first-time generation scholar. That means he was the first one in his family that went to college. Do you remember the first one in your family that went to college? Was it you? Was it your brother? Was it your cousin? Was it your parents? Are you a second generation or a third generation? But remember the first generation, how proud you would be if you had not went to college and your son or your daughter went. Think about how proud his parents were. But he still had to work jobs to not only help his parents, but help pay his tuition. Not enough funding, not enough money. The struggle. How many of our kids have left school because they didn't have enough money and didn't have the resources or anyone to come to? How many of our kids that don't know who to talk to when they go to these universities and they get in trouble? Because sometimes we don't give good advice. We just say, well, just stay in there. It's going to go away. Just don't listen to them. Just tune your ears out. Just focus and study. How can you be studying when they're slinging out racial slurs at you and they're marking up your locker and they're marking up your room or they're saying stuff? And how? Who do we report it to? And then they tell us to have tough skin. I salute this young man, Jordan. And then he did a quote from James Baldwin. He said, James Baldwin said that if somebody does something to you long enough or says something to you long enough, you'll start believing it and even doing that thing to yourself. Could that be one of the reasons why our kids have so much anger and rage? Because they are so tight with violence. They seen their parents get beat. They seen their fathers in jail. They seen their fathers shot. They don't have fathers. The girls don't have a mother to go to. Because you know how we are sometimes. We want to be sister girls to our daughters. Yeah, we want to be sister girls to our daughters. We've got to be parents to our children. And you can also be a parent to somebody else's child. Oh, I'm not saying you got to beat them or doing this and that. You know what I'm talking about. You can encourage them. You can encourage them. If their hair needs to be braided, Hey, you could say, hey, you know what? I was just thinking about it. I want to ask your mother if I could take you to the beautician with me to get your hair braids. I think box braids really look nice on you. You know, how about if they need clothes? How about I'm going to ask your foster parent if I could take you and buy you something because I think this outfit. How about inviting them to a barbecue, to a party, to your church? How about inviting them to your job? How about sitting down talking about education? How about speaking into their lives so that they could be first time generational scholars? How about doing something? But affirmative action is gone now. So we're going to have to fight a little bit more harder. We're going to have to really go into our pockets. We're going to really have to go into our hearts. We're going to really have to think about what we want to do to encourage our young people, because this is war cry. And we're broadcasting all the way from New York. So if you could have someone that's 25, like they had on Saturday, shoot 4 people, you know that we've got some problems with our young people. What would you be doing that when you were 25? I'm very sure you wasn't on the scooter with your mind made up to hurt people. Why did this gentleman want to do that? Is it that much rage and tension that we're generating or that the world is generating that's projecting them to go out and do violence? Let's start asking ourselves some questions. Then he says that before you even think about stereotyping people, which you can, but that's not the end of our story. You could put me in a box, but I'm going to fight my way out the box. You could say all black people this, or all white people this, or all this race this, or all that race that. But guess what? That's not the end of their stories. There's much more to come because we're very resilient people. You can't put us in a box. You've tried to box us in all our lives. And look where that got you. And when you seen that it wasn't getting you nowhere, you pulled another genie out of the box. Or you open up Pandora's box and guns start appearing in our neighborhood. And people begin to be falsely accused, profiled, put in jail. We've been put in jail because and not let out, not because we weren't innocent, but because we didn't have the bail money. A lot of things are going on in our society that we've got to stay focused on what we're going to do. And church, all I know is to say that you are help. Back in the early 30s, back during slavery, it was the church, our love for God that kept us strong. It was our love for God that moved us to the next level. And the church was always a strong place, a refuge, a community. They had meetings and stuff. Martin Luther King met, and so did Jesse Jackson. They met. We had meetings. And guess what happened? The church was the first line of attack. That's why they bombed the churches in Birmingham and bombed the churches in Mobile. That's why, because they knew the strength of the church. And I'm calling you out again to show yourself mighty and to show yourself strong in the Lord. We say we are saved in the Lord. So let us put our saved selves on the street to let our young people know that we are the church. And guess what? If they don't receive it, then don't take it personal. This is the world. They're not saved. They've been inundated with so many things with social media. And we need money. We need funds. We need schools. We need good curriculums. We need men to be mentors. We need women to be mentors for our young girls. We need community neighborhood watches back again. We really need communities. We need someone to say that we got a flooding problem, and every time it rains, it floods in my neighbors. We need to hold our politicians. They want our vote, and I'm talking about black and white politicians, period. They have an agenda that they'll run on. We need to hold them to that agenda. We have power. We need to get out and vote. And when we vote, we need to vote and hold our politicians. It's just not for them to give hot dogs out or to say, shake our hands and stuff. We need help in our community, the urban community. This is war cry for the urban community. This is war cry for the urban church. For those mega churches, well, I want you to help us. But you're not thinking about helping us. See, the church is supposed to be an entity, an organism that's alive, that's connected to Christ. It's not individually set. We have common goals, common beliefs, common missions. And whether you're a Trinitarian or you're Jesus only, we are the church. And God is coming back for the church. Jesus is coming back for the church. And he's going to have his reward. And he's going to ask us, what did you do for the least among us, among them? The least, the children, the inheritance, the one that's being wiped out. Fort Worth, Texas. I was just appalled at how many people was killed and shot in Fort Worth, Texas. It was like the Wild Wild West. Philadelphia, Baltimore. I mean, we are losing people. And you know who's being rich? The funeral homes. Because guess what? We're having to bury our kids prematurely. And we should not do that. I mean, the Bible guarantees us 70 years, but our kids, if they make it to their 18 in some of these urban areas, then it's a grand age. And let me tell you, I met this mother who had lost 2 of her kids to gang violence. She only had 2, and she lost 2 of her kids, both of them to gang violence. She was so courageous. She was so enlightening. She's now fighting against gun violence. I admired her. She could have went and been sad. She could have went and been angry. She could have went and did a lot of things. But now she's putting her energy, the energy of all her pain, into helping others. And that's what we should be doing as well. We need to get out and we need to hold these big universities that not only are getting private donors money, but getting government money to say, we want to see the statistics for your college admission. Our leaders, our congressmen could ask that. Then we need to get on the banner and look at the curriculum of schools in the urban area, look at the qualification of teachers. A lot of our teachers don't even understand our culture, so they're taking our children in the 4th grade, they're going from school to prison, because once a Black boy doesn't understand his worth, he doesn't have a family, he goes and he migrates and he gets people he can identify with. Same thing for our young women. So we need to be vested into the curriculum. We need to look at our communities. We need to check out what's going on with our seniors. There are so many things that we need to do as a people, and we need to support our Black colleges. We need to, I don't care if you got $5 or $10. I don't care. Send it and find a Black college and support a Black college. Please, ma'am, please, sir, please do so. If you can support McDonald's and you spend more than $10 at McDonald's, you can support a Black college. We need to support Black businesses. We need to support ourselves. Every race supports and cares for their own. I was amazed when I read the story about the buffalo, and when the buffalo fears trouble. What the male buffalo does is he puts the small buffaloes in the center. He has the female buffaloes surround them, and he surrounds the female buffaloes to fight and protect his young. Are we doing that? Are we fighting to protect our young? And I know maybe some of you are saying, well, my kids did good. You know, my kids made it. It's not about you. We are a people. And your kids are going to have to travel in some neighborhoods too. Don't think because you may not be facing this that it can't come to your neighborhood. or it can't come to your block. Remember the people in Buffalo was shopping at the store. Remember our children was in school. Violence is everywhere. So until we learn to stand up and fight for a cause, we will never be able to make it. And trust me with affirmative action. It was the schools today, but tomorrow it'll be the businesses. And where will your smart sons and daughters go? They will sit next to someone that's not equally smart, but got there because of a legacy. We've got to think about what's going on and begin to speak out. And we always talk about reformation. I agree with Dr. Al Sharpton that how can we even think about that when they've already downed affirmative action? They've already downed critical race theory. They've already downed giving money to our Black universities. They've already cut. They've already started building jails. In Buffalo, I was so glad to find out that they had a petition going on, stop building jails. They're building jails without even people occupying them. You know why? Because the statistics and the gamble is high on for us. No jobs, no hope, we turn to crimes. Every time the economy goes up and interest rates goes up, guess what? Petty crimes increase. Things like milk, people need for their babies. Gas, people need for cars. Food, even cigarettes. Can't you see what they're doing? It's happened to affirmative action. It was gun violence. Now it's going to be jobs. Crime is going up. The ban on AR-15 still didn't go anywhere. We seen that. There's still mass shootings. It was 17 mass shootings over the holiday. And guess what? They don't consider a mass shooting anything unless it's 4 or more. Check it out. How many people was killed? How many mothers cried? Foster mothers or fathers? How many funeral homes had to pick up bodies? How many hospitals was filled? The trauma that goes through our neighborhood, the trauma that's felt, the edge that they have. Now, you heard Jordan, he said the racial slurs, and he said the vandalism. Now what they're going to say, we don't have to have you here. N, go home. You know what N stand for, N-I, blank, E-R, go home. But I'm just as smart as you are. It don't matter how smart you are. I'm a legacy, and I stay. Is that the way we want to leave generation Gen Z? We've got to show Gen Z that we care. We've got to show Gen Z that we care. And this is a clarion call to everyone across this united nation. I don't care where you at. We're all connected with this. Whether you're in Haiti, Barbados, Jamaica, Guyana, the Virgin Islands, we're all, whether you're in London, Israel, Australia, Brazil, Africa, Russia, whether you Black Russians, yes, Black Russians, yeah, Black Chinese, yes. I know you guys think it's just us, but we are everywhere. We need to unite because we have a common goal. And that goal is justice for all, equal rights for all. We don't want you to open the door, but we want the door to be made available so we can open it ourselves. We are the people, and we're not going to stop. This is War Cry. We're not going to stop. We're going to wave this banner. We're going to wave this banner until we see a decrease in murders among our people, until we see greater increases among cars, until we can sit down and talk about some restoration. We should at least get clothes free. I mean, come on here. That tobacco, there's things that we worked and we grew and we bled. Do you know in slavery that if in fact you was pregnant and you went into labor, you just laid there and had the baby. They moved the baby. You finish the day, and then within cruel, harsh treatment that we use to build this nation with. And our kids still are bleeding. Every time I see memorials where somebody has lost their lives. So let us come together and let us pray. Father God, in the name of Jesus, God, we know you're all powerful, all knowing, all willing, God. And we're asking you now to give your people the strength, give your church the strength. I don't care if it's a black church. I don't care if it's a white church. I don't care if it's an Asian church. I don't care if it's a Korean church. I don't care, God. Let us unite with a banner of social justice so we can go out and fight against the oppression of your marginalized people. And we will fight, and you will be the winner in this battle. This is War Cry. We want you to join us. We want you to get a shirt by contacting warcry.children@gmail. The shirt says, I am praying for our children. Put prayer back into school. You can wear it. When I'm wearing my shirt, everyone says, my goodness, I saw more shirts by wearing it. Because guess what? We want to march on Washington with those shirts on. Or you can give me the names of those kids that you want me to pray for. They don't have to be your kids. That could be somebody else's grandkids. You can call and leave that on 347-426-5302. Text, don't even call. Just text it. Or you can hit us up on our website, War Cry for Our Children. Everything is War Cry for Our Children, because that's what the banner is about. If not us, who? If not us, who? Because the Lion of Judah is coming. There is a war cry out there. He's going to ask you, what did you do? What did you say? How did you move in the time like this? The enemy is advancing, but guess what? We're going to advance on the enemy. Our kids are not going to be lost. This is Gen Z, and we're going to support them. We're going to make sure that they are successful. We're going to get behind them. We know mental illness is running haywire among the streets. We're going to push for more social workers. Social workers, we need you to volunteer. As I stated before, everything can't be about money. I know this is the time we're making a lot of money, but some of us, churches, I need for you to see how many professional people that you have in your church. Don't get the unprofessional ones, the ones that are not confidential, the one that gossip and backbite. We don't want them. We want the ones that can help. And teachers, offer tutoring services in the church free of charge. Offer it in the schools. Go to the library, put a sign up. I will tutor. Read a book. Do something. Our reading levels, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, 40% of our black kids that's graduating are reading below grade average. We need help. But this is War Cry. And I'm going to always come to you with the real facts, the real deal. I'm not coming to you with no shucking and jiving. I'm not coming to you with everything is good. And we do have some good things happening among our people. But I'm telling you, we're coming together to make a difference. That's you and me and the whole world. We're going to make a difference. Back at you, engineer. See you next week at 11 a.m. with War Cry for Our Children. This is War Cry. We're on the wall crying out for our children, our communities, our schools, our churches, our families. This is War Cry. Welcome to our reality. Gun violence, Chicago, Philly, Detroit, New York, Atlanta, just to name a few. Our black children are dying day by day. This is War Cry. Police brutality. Hands up! Don't move. I can't breathe. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. Hashtag All Lives Matter to Christ. This is War Cry. Drugs, rape, mass shootings, school violence. This is War Cry. Galvanizing people to pray for our children and to take action. Let's march on Washington. We want prayer back in school. This is War Cry. Cameras, memorials in every corner in our neighborhood. Who died this weekend? Oh no, not Miss Martha's grandson. This is War Cry. He was only 16. His brother died last year. He was only 13. This is War Cry. We the people. We're the elected officials. This is War Cry. We need the church. Where's the church? Only on Sundays. Get to the streets, church. We need you out there. This is War Cry. Girl, be gone. Boy, be gone. Mothers crying. Fathers being locked up. Welcome to our reality. Identity crisis. This is War Cry. Oh, they're trying to remove our history off the textbook. Oh, critical race theory? It makes them feel bad. It's our reality. Fake reality shows. We want the real truth. Stay woke. This is War Cry. HBCUs under attack. This is War Cry. Equal pay for what we do. We want a reparation. This is War Cry. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Wait a minute. Is that somebody else they're burying that looks like us? Only 12. This is War Cry. Let us come together and pray for our young people. Pray for our communities. Pray for our schools. Pray for our churches. Pray that the government gives us what we need, a fair opportunity. This is War Cry, home of the brave, land of the free. Who's free? Our men are locked up. This is War Cry. Hashtag mothers against gang violence. Hashtag fathers who love their sons. Hashtag what would Jesus do? This is War Cry.
I know who goes before